DCEP, the digital renminbi, the digital yuan. I don't know, I guess they're gonna just throw stuff against the wall till something sticks, right? That's some of the names that are floated and are put out there on the internet about China's new digital currency. And is it a cryptocurrency? No. It's not going to be you're not going to be able to mine it. There's not going to be an ICO so you can get in on the ground floor. There'll be no airdrops. All right. This is something on par with they're kind of putting it on par with Libra, and obviously it's something much bigger than Libra, because this is going to be tied to the central banks for China. It's going to be tied with theirs, with the, what do they call that, the Royal Chinese Bank, or whatever it's called. I don't remember what it's called, but their bank, it's going to be tied in through that so that they can eliminate payment processors between banks. They want to eliminate specifically the US payment processors, because like Swift and all those types of processors are run by US firms and US companies, and they don't want our prying eyes in their business, honestly. And that's where it starts from first. It's their privacy first, citizens last, because there's going to be none on that end, and I'll talk about that here in a second and what this means. But the implementation is here. This has been something that's been years in the making. It's been talked about by other people for a long time. It's even been on mainstream news, shows like, Kaiser and all those guys like that discuss financials and delve into Bitcoin, because Kaiser delves into it a lot. But they all talk about Bitcoin now, or cryptocurrencies as a whole, actually. And there's going to be a lot of things coupled with this currency. This is the one that they've been waiting for. This is the one they've been wanting all along. Okay, and they didn't want to let a good crisis go to waste, as usual. Any government that sniffs a hint of power that they can take from the citizenry, they always pounce on it. Always. History does not repeat itself; it rhymes, and it has been tried, tested, and true for a millennia. Ever since time has been recorded that we know of. And they're going to use this to implement this system. There's no coincidence, because there are no coincidences, that this is being rolled out now during the implementation, or during the disease that shall not be named. I don't want to name this on the wrong platforms and get depersoned like other people have been, and I've already had videos taken down and stuff like that. So. But if you were on those types of platforms, you should jump off them, because those are the ones where you're going to be able to talk about stuff like this and what's going on and what moving forward. Because once it's implemented, all those sites, you will be the odd man person out, and you will not be able to speak freely about what you want, how you feel, what you think's coming, anything along those lines. Or anything that goes outside their lines that they've painted. Okay, if you want to live out in the margins and live a little dangerously, sorry, it's not going to happen on their platforms. You'll have to go to the far reaches of the internet, and let's see how long that lasts as well. But there are other alternatives. If you see in my bio, I have a lot of them. Hopefully you are on one of those alternatives watching this. That's where I mainly promote anything that I do, is mainly on those alternative websites. Because I see this coming. I've seen this coming down the road for years, and it's been in the works for years. Obviously, I mean, we see the stuff that's going on, and this thing's gonna be rolled out. Let me transition over here and show you some of the articles that I pulled up. And these are just the recent articles that I pulled up on it, on the DCEP, which is what they mainly are calling it right now. I do hear some rumbles about it being called the digital renminbi. The digital yuan is kind of fallen off, but I still hear it every once in a while. on some of these articles, or when they go on shows and talk about it, when people talk about this currency that's coming out. But and it's not going to be, you know, it's going to be run on the blockchain so that it can be immutable and all that, you know, the same song and dance. And what this one's going to be is more implemented towards the control of the masses, okay, the citizenry. And if they can control them with this, and they can put that the rule of thumb on top of you, and have you set in the ways that they want you to be set, so that they can move the populace in the directions that you know the government wants. And that's why I think China took to this like promptly took to this, because their type of governance, you know, breeds this type of thing. So, you know, if you don't know, it's a communist regime, but it has, you know, sprinklings of you know, has sprinklings of other, I guess, just capitalism, I guess you could call it. I wouldn't call it that, but I guess they sprinkle it in there. There are things that aren't government owned within there, but everything is, you know, there's an unwritten rule type thing where if you step out of line, you won't own that company anymore. There are plenty of rich billionaires from China that have left, just like they did in Russia after the wall fell and all that. The people that are disputing with Putin and how he has them, you know, disappeared or mysteriously die under mysterious circumstances. The same thing goes on with China, but it's not put out there as much, because China has, you know, a tight fist over everything, you know, with the internet wall and all that kind of stuff. A lot of stuff doesn't get out of there. And when this stuff started jumping off a few months back, I was surprised the stuff that got out. It almost made me think like, well, was this propaganda or something, or these films, or but I mean, we've come to find out that a lot of it isn't. And, you know, there were some that were a little fishy, and those are ones I did not show, but I did show them if you ever watched any of my past videos on it. But I made this one because it kind of dovetails into the 1984 aspect that I did on the last video. And this is, you know, the implementation of the monetary side of it, and how it's going to help you, or not how it could help you in some aspects, but for the most part, this is just going to be a regulatory, you know, device for your life. And what China's doing now, it says that they're just putting it out there for lawyers right now to implement the system. Because if you know anything about China, they work in like decade increments, and they focus on what they need to get done in this decade in order to make the next decade better than the last, and help them along into their, you know, eventual agenda, you know, which is, it's like 100 years down the road, which is complete and utter world dominance. Don't kid yourself. They want to be the complete and utter world power with space stations, the whole shebang. They have it all lined out in there. If you delve into it a little bit deeper, you can find those types of things out there. It is out there to be found. They don't squash all dissent. They don't squash all of the knowledge out there about themselves. They are one of the superpowers, man. And yeah, they have their faults, just like everybody else, and all the other powers that are out there. And they could fall victim to something and collapse. Yeah, sure. There are fissures being opened that I've seen just with this last thing that happened in the last couple months, where I see a lot of dissent from you know, the citizenry, which never used to happen before. People yelling out, protesting, stuff like that. That was never, ever. The second that started, it was quashed. People's heads were bashed in, and people were disappeared. Believe that. And I've showed videos on here before of people disappearing on the trains and stuff, and their family members never seen them again. Okay, I've talked to people about that, and so those are the type of things that go in there, and this will just make it go, you know, hand in glove right here. This is their wet dream. I'm telling you, this has everything implemented into it. You can put everybody on a smart contract. I've said it in the last video, how everybody will have their own smart contract address, and you know, the things that you do, say, the places you go, they're all going to be documented on there for forever, for eternity. And you know, they can piece this all together when the technology comes into play, and can make a minority report for you, and kind of decide what area of life you should go into, and once you stray from that area and kind of delve into the margins a little bit, they can either bring you back into line or get rid of you, or whatever it is they want to do. They'll have it all mapped out to where they know once you step into those margins what your next step's going to be. Judging, once the algorithm hits what you usually do, the places you go, the people you talk to is of obscene importance in this. And I think that's being implemented with that Bluetooth app that they want to put people around, that they want to put on people's phones. And Hawaii is a big proponent of this one in there, but they're going to start it here in the United States for this disease that shall not be named. And it'll let you know when you've been around somebody that has it, but it will also let them know. And you've been around too many people that have it. Your work rights are revoked till you get a test done. Go ahead and go get that test done. Your work rights are revoked. You will not leave your house. We have it tracked. You left your house. We're going to meet you at the grocery store on your way to the grocery store and arrest you. We'll take you in. We'll make sure you're quarantined now. And some of that stuff has already happened. Okay, it may not be out there on the daily the morning news show that you watch, because that one's sanitized for the masses, but that stuff is out there, and this is just an implementation of it, and this is the framework for it. All the things I'm talking about are going to be plugged into this type of apparatus, this blockchain. It's going to be rules for thee, not for me type thing. The upper echelons are going to be guarded in this and protected. They're going to have anonymity. They're going to be able to not be tracked. You are. Let me show you how it's going to work out. So they said they're just doing it with lawyers right now. This is what the app looks like for the normal person that has their wallet. The average person, you say the normal, but the average person, how they'll have their wallet and how they'll be able to scan it at the store. You'll be able to scan your QR code. There it is right there. Just scan your QR code, go grab whatever it is that you're buying, your meal. There's going to be some companies that are on it. And some of them are US-based firms, which is surprising to me. But once I thought about it, was not. Starbucks, McDonald's, Subway. I don't know if JD Groceries is one, but it said JD Groceries. It said there's going to be gyms on there, which I don't think is happening right now. A bunch of other stuff is going to be on there, and they're going to be implemented in 7 cities in the Yangtze River Delta region, which is basically Shanghai area. Let me see. I pulled it up right here. There's Shanghai right here on the west coast of China. This is the west coast of China right here. There's Japan, Seoul, and North Korea, and all that kind of stuff, but all that jazz. But it's going to be up in this area here. There's going to be 7 of the major cities there, Shanghai being the most prominent, obviously, in that test group. And they're going to be testing all this stuff out. And they already have WeChat and Alipay, I believe. And they have like payment functions on there, sort of like our Apple Pay and Android Pay that you have in the United States and other regions. I don't know what it is in other countries. You can comment down below if you know what that is. I haven't had the time to look into that. But it's going to be implemented just like those systems, and I think that those people are going to play a part within this as well. It's said as much in some of the articles that I read. One of the disturbing ones that I read was it this one? Yeah, it says in the next step, the Providence Data Research Bureau, which is where this is at. They're going to be, the blockchain, what does it say? General Office Platform, let's see. Strengthen the technical support. So it says in the next step, but it's down here towards the end. This is all nothing up here, and improve service. At the same time, strengthen the technical support capacity of our province's blockchain platform. Encourage all units in the province to join the alliance chain. They're not going to encourage them. They're going to force them. Rely on the annual general office platform to develop and deploy blockchain technology in the urban brain. smart transportation, judicial certificate storage, security supervision, etc. Application, thereby promoting the rapid deployment of the blockchain industry. Okay, now I know I kind of had to reread this when I heard the urban brain comment, but I had to remember I translated this page. So what that means to me is like the urban brain, because it's talking about smart transportation. It's the smart grid, right? So this is going to be used to tie into that. The urban brain would be something like I don't know, the urban main center. I don't know, urban brain. So it's just a basic rough translation. The nerve center of a city or whatever. So they just call it the urban brain. But it's going to be used for the smart cities network type thing, and where it will be tied into, your car, how far did you go, how much gas did you use, you're going to have to pay a little bit more tax this month. Okay, all those types of things. Those are all things that are being implemented everywhere. Be ready for those. It's always about more government power, more government taxes. Let's just be honest and quit, tap dancing around it. So this thing's going to be, it's going to be rolled out. They say it's for lawyers first, is what they're going to do first, because like in China, they always go in steps, and they always use things, test case for things, and see how they're going to work. They iron out the kinks, and then they roll them out full board. Then they go to the next step. They make sure that it's running, flawlessly, and then they move on to the next step, and then the next step, because they have it all planned out, and it's all sitting there waiting in the wings. Just like all these things that show up when crises happen, they're always waiting in the wings mysteriously, aren't they? They always have 1,000-page laws written up and ready to roll the next day, which I find bizarre and kind of predictable now at this point. So that's where I see it going in the future. You can look into this. It's called the DCEP right now. It may change, which is what the digital currency electronic payment. So that's what that's called right now, which I think they might rename that. It's kind of a crappy name. I don't know. Well, who am I to say? But these are the types of things that are going to be rolled into your city and your country here real soon. This is the testing ground. China has been the testing ground for the new government that they want moving forward. And it's going to be something that you're not going to have a choice but to go along with. You will have people that dissent this, and maybe this all collapses and implodes on itself. Maybe this isn't the way that we go, but I see this as being issued. This is how the banks transfer. It shows for the renminbi. This is kind of an old article, how they transfer from your wallet through the banks and everything, so that they can bypass all the banking apparatus that they want to bypass. But this is the implementation. This is how it's going to go. They're going to do it in their country, and then it's going to roll out into yours next. So, the communist regime is starting to meld away in China. It's morphing into this brand new governance, a brand new government system that's going to have tinges of communism with capitalism and a little bit of socialism sprinkled in to make everybody feel nice, and it's going to eventually just be encompassed with this umbrella of technocracy. Okay. Yeah, there'll still be elected officials and all that in the meantime, until they can make one. They can algorithmically make one. They'll still be there for a while to come, and it'll still make people feel a little more secure with a human being there. But they're just going to take the cue cards from whatever the machine spits out at them. What's the next step? Where are the masses going next? Where should we herd them to where we need to go next? And hopefully that this thing that is being passed on, there's some humanity put into it with the people that are implementing it, and hopefully they put some humanity into it and look out for people's best interests and not just the government's best interests. Because this could be a good thing if it was done right, not the way I'm looking at it right now, no way. But if it was done right and it was implemented right and the people that were in charge were right with it, for the right types of people. But unfortunately, you know, when people get power, they become corrupt. They either, you know, they either become the machine or get eaten up by the machine, and there's only two ways to go. I've never seen it happen any other way. There's people always start out with great intentions and stuff like that when they move into office, and it just never comes out. I don't know. I've never seen it. I've failed to see it yet. All right, well, that's the video today, and if you guys want to check some of this stuff out, some of these articles and stuff, go ahead, just, you know, Google DCEP. I didn't put the links in the description. I will put a link in my pinned comment because I had a cryptocurrency wars video, it was called. I'll put it in there, and I have it on all the other countries that are going down the same road as this, and they're all doing the same thing. They're mainly focusing on titles for land and stuff like that. But it'll creep into your everyday life. You can bet on that. I mean, you know, they don't. This thing's going to be implemented so that they have every single aspect of your life plastered on the blockchain for them to see and no one else to see. So that if you know, wipe your ass from back to front, they'll know about it instead of, and they'll know about it and they'll know what they can do about it. All right. That's the end of the video, man. Thanks.
You are not allowed in there.
Who are you?
I live here. I'm the son of the guardian.
Ah, well, I used to live here too. That is where I sat.
Who are you?
I was the Emperor of China.
Prove it.